This week on the latest home edition of Keeping It Real with FilmGordon, we introduce our alternate version of Turner Classic Movie Summer Under the Stars list, 31 stars in 31 days. I will discuss the curation of this list, featuring over 370 movies that we're going to introduce people to during the month of August. Plus, the Black Reel Awards for television will take place Thursday night, and I want to talk a little bit about the contenders for the 4th annual awards. And show correspondent and our main guy, 50 Cent, Wilson Morales, joins us to discuss the latest in entertainment. We'll have all that and more on episode 410 of The Big Show, Keeping It Real with FilmGordon, the home edition. Coming up next. Let's go. All right, and welcome to the latest episode of Keeping It Real with FilmGordon. I am Tim Gordon. Charles Kirkland joins us. Charles, how are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for having me.
I can't believe you have every week to prepare, and it's always like a clumsy, like, he's coming to me.
It's been a wild week for me. So, I'm here. Thank goodness. Praise the Lord.
All right. And also Wilson Morales from Black Film and TV.
.com.
Thank you. I'm still getting used to it, man. It doesn't flow off the tongue yet. We're going to get there. So Wilson is joining us as well. So you heard of the tease, August the 1st. This is, I think this is month 5 now. I think we did our last in-studio show in early March. We're now in early August. So as we were talking on the way in that, everybody's sort of settled. This is where we are. 5 months into our, everybody's doing home editions of shows all over the place now. And we've got plenty of film to talk about, but I did want to open today's show by marking the yet another pass. And it feels like every week it's repetitive that we losing people, and I have to come on the show and give these small little dedications and tributes to people. I found out yesterday that a colleague and another mentor and one of the senior members of our film community here in Washington, D.C., Mike Clark, who was with USA Today for a gang of years, lost his battle yesterday and passed away early yesterday morning. I had to pull my car over, man, and kind of write a quick dedication, man. That's a guy I've known for a long time. And when I first got in the game, man, it was people like him and Art Campbell and Rita Kempley and so many some of these vets that are no longer in film and television right now who helped me out. And Mike was one of those guys. His nickname was Movie Mike. Mike had an encyclopedic knowledge for films. Like, you could talk to that dude about movies and he could just rattle them off and spit them off the top of his head. The thing that was cool about Mike, and he was most proud of, and I forgot about this yesterday, Charles, is that when he was 16 years old, he went on the $64,000 quiz show and won $16,000.
What?
Yeah, he did, as a teenager, man. So, and one of the other things I'm kicking myself is I remember one of our last conversations, but I had a conversation with him one day where he was showing me in his house this amazing collection, because he was getting, stuff like before they had DVDs, they were doing, what was it called? Like, they would give you an album. What was the technology called? Where you would play it with a disc.
The digital disc, laser disc.
The laser disc. And he had thousands of them. And I was like, I used to tease him. I'm like, dude, you going to leave me some of those, man, at some point? So I'm just mad that I never got a commitment to get some of that work, man, because Mike had stuff. So, but Mike Clark, man, real good dude, USA Today, 30-some-odd years, film critic, man, passed away. Rest in peace to that guy, man. Like I said, I wrote my last line was, we'll see you here or on the other side in the dark screening room in the sky, bro, because that dude is going to be watching some movies. So having said that, man, Wilson Morales, welcome to the show again, sir. I lean on you every week, man, because, during this time, there's so many projects that are coming up. I know the Toronto International Film Fest, which is one of the few that's going to do this kind of hybrid version of the festival. They're not going to physically have any of us there, but they're giving people, or a select group of people, access to watch the films. So talk a little bit, because I know we previewed this last week when you talked about Halle is going to be taking her directorial debut there. Spike Lee's film about is it
David Byrne's American
David
Utopia.
Byrne, right? And also we found out Regina King's film. So, but go ahead, man. You go off and do it, man. I'm not going to do Wilson, man. Go ahead, Wilson.
Well, as you mentioned before, they are going to have the festivals, but this year they're going to have the press do it virtually, online. They don't need to have anybody out there, especially when Canada is placing restrictions on who can come into the country or not. That being said, they made out their selections this week, 50 films, and amongst them were the Halle Berry, which was previously announced, Concrete Cowboys, which stars Idris Elba, and the Spike Lee's movie, his directed version of David Byrne's American Utopia that was on Broadway. That's the opening night film. Also included in there was the Regina King One Night in Miami, which I guess a lot of people are going to be looking forward to seeing. And that particular film was recently sold to Amazon Studios. You also have a film by Ronaldo Marcus Green. I forget the name of the movie, but it stars Mark Wahlberg. And then you have 2 or 3, I think in total, I think there were about 6 or 7 films by people of, so you say African directors.
Diaspora, right.
Yeah, of that. So that's going to go on. And then I don't know if we talked about it the last time, ABFF is coming out in August. They're having their festival virtual online, but this year it's going to be longer than the normal 4 days. It's going to be from August 21st to August 30th. And there's a slew of films they got there. So August will be busy, between September, Toronto. If you're covering Black films, obviously you got ABFF coming out. So there's stuff out there. I think since we're getting more films being released in 2021, this is all you can do now. It was just announced that Lionsgate has now moved Antebellum. Initially, it was supposed to come out in April, but they moved it to August 21st. Now they've taken it off the 2020 calendar for theatrical, and it's going to be released sometime maybe next year. And then
I was going to say a couple of things then. So talk a little bit about, what's the studio? I think it's Paramount. Paramount is almost like Titanic right now. They got all this content, and they're like throwing it overboard. Like, who wants this? So they threw out, not threw out, but they offered,
they're just kind of like farming off everything they got. They made a deal with Netflix. They gave them early this year The Lovebirds that starred Issa Rae, and they're giving them also the Trial of the Chicago 7, directed by Aaron Sorkin. That's supposed to be an Oscar contender. Now they've sold off the rights to Without Remorse, based on the Tom Clancy novels, and it's starring Michael B. Jordan. They've sold that rights to Amazon. So like they're just unless it's a franchise movie, which they know they're gonna make money on, like Transformers or Mission Impossible, they're putting that stuff out for next year. Even The Quiet Place, they moved The Quiet Place to next year. They know that's a money maker for them. So like the things that they're not so sure of, they're like, you can take it off our hands. So they're just having a fire sale out there. It's tough, when somebody.
I was gonna say, and speaking of fire sales, the other big news yesterday was the agreement. I think, or it may not have been yesterday, but earlier this week, the agreement between Regina King and her directorial debut, One Night in Miami. Amazon scooped that one up too.
Yeah, just mention that. So they've got that one. They got Without Remorse, and I think also Universal has made a deal with AMC. They made a deal where they're going to release some movies on demand first.
Mistake.
And then go to theaters. The scary thing about that is that they've got Candyman coming up, which could be a potential blockbuster under normal circumstances, directed by Nia DaCosta and produced by Jordan Peele. If that's a film that could potentially make $100 million, I would hate for it to go VOD and then hit theaters.
That's why I said mistake, man. And then also the other part you're missing about that part of the story is I think that deal is they signed it now, but that will stay in effect once we get back to a sense of normalcy And the small town theater owners are livid, man, because how can you make any money as a theater if the movie's only going to play in your house for 14 days before it goes straight to video? So I think that's a mistake, man. I mean, you're going to drive the theater or theaters, smaller theaters, out of business if you're not AMC, Regal, Edwards, or any of these other large chains.
Well, this was a compromise, because at first Universal said that they were going to go on the same day video and theater release, and so AMC at least got them back off 2 weeks, which somewhat of a compromise, but it still is a devastating move.
It's probably a devastating move for filmmakers. Like I said, they rather know their film is a flop or not, as opposed to like take your chances on VOD. Granted, Universal came out early and said that they made $100 million off of Trolls, which is an animated film. And at the time they were released, I'm sure a lot of parents wanted to keep their children busy and entertained, but we haven't seen the numbers for The King of Staten Island, or anything else, or even through Focus Features, which released The High Notes. And Focus Features is a division of Universal. So, you're not saying a lot of people, are talking about those movies. So and you also, there's a lot of things that have taken effect. One, theaters are not open. Two, for those that are benefiting off the unemployment $600 kick are no longer having it. So now for those who are unemployed, and from last I checked, 20 million, they're going to be more patient about what they're going to spend their $20 on, than the movie. There's a lot of factors that go into that. I'm not hearing any record numbers coming out of these drive-in theaters,
Wow.
as far as what's being shown.
Well,
and I don't even know how that works out. Like, if you have 4 people in a car, how are the people in the back seat watching these movies?
Right. So let me share a conversation I had with you yesterday, and this always goes to unnamed sources that I can't reveal. I was told yesterday that the studios, and more specifically Warner Brothers, may be the first major studio to take a chance. And I think, is Tenet on Warner Brothers?
Which one? Yes, it is Warner Brothers.
It is Warner Brothers. All right. So, because the conversation yesterday was about Tenet is going to be coming in theaters. I think it's early September, if I'm correct, in North America, after it plays in Europe first. And I was like, I don't see, it's going to be hard for Warner Brothers and any other studio to launch a movie if you don't have New York and you don't have LA. I don't understand. So the person I was talking to didn't understand either, but they're saying that Warner Brothers had their pulse on this situation since the beginning, and they're the one studio that may take a chance. So I don't know, Wilson. I think they're going to try to come up with a creative way to get critics back in theaters, even though I'm adamant I'm not going. I'm like, nope.
It's a tricky thing because, Nolan's very adamant about trying to get those people in the theaters. And, Tenet's going to be released overseas first.
Right.
And then supposedly it's going to be released in the States a week afterwards. Depending on how many theaters are open at the time and what kind of numbers they're going to get overseas for people to see it. I'm like, we don't know where we're at. Cases are still spiking up here in the United States that I don't see Governor of California's in New York trying to open theaters up just for this, and if you don't have New York and LA, which brings in the biggest money from theaters in the United States, I don't know how you're going to survive.
And then remember as well that it's not just that you have to get these theaters back, but even when these theaters do come back, they're coming back at a quarter of the percentage. So I don't see any model that it becomes a money-making venture, because you can't fill theaters like you could do pre-pandemic. So you can't open a movie $100 million and it's kind of climbing. Even if you had theaters open, you couldn't get $100 million.
Yeah, there's no one's going to get $100 million.
Yeah, it's nuts right now, man. It's nuts.
As I mentioned before, we're all now adjusted to being home, to watching all these movies, streaming, waiting, being patient, for it to come on. To go downtown, like to the movie theaters, and I've been to the city recently, it's a ghost town. And it's like, just to see a movie, like even to do our jobs, it's like no.
Well, let's be honest. There's the situation across the pond, if you want to say, in Europe is a lot different than it is here in the United States as far as the contamination rates. And so I read an article where Spain had some movie that broke box office records last weekend, and I'm worried that the studios are seeing this and being deceived into thinking, oh, well, if we can open it across and internationally and then bring it here, that we can still make the money. But even if you do release it and it does well internationally, it's not going to do well here because, again, there's nobody here to see it. Nobody's going to see it because our levels are way above what's going on outside of this country, which is why we can't go to Toronto for a film festival. So.
Yeah, that's where we're at right now. And like I said before, all you can do is, with the exception of the movies playing at the festivals, is start pivoting elsewhere as far as where the news and entertainment value is going to come out. We have no theaters, so that's gone, and sports, barely coming back. So like TV is a thing that's been constant so far. Because I'm sure, whether it's Netflix or some other streaming channels, some things are already in the can. They're just waiting to get a release date.
Well, I think the thing that's interesting is, you said you talked about sports. I heard there was a story yesterday that Rob Manfred, who is the commissioner of baseball has been getting hit with COVID-19. So, the Miami Marlins have been off all week. The Philadelphia Phillies have been off. I know a Chicago Cubs game was canceled a couple of nights ago. And he wrote that if baseball can't get his act together over this weekend, they're thinking about shutting baseball down again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think if you don't have sports, whether in a bubble, like what the NBA is doing and the WNBA is doing, or the NHL is doing out in Canada, it's going to be tough to have college football, pro baseball, when people are walking around assimilating with other people. It's just going to be very difficult to keep people healthy.
Football itself has at least 40 people, and that's one too many. And remember, we're only talking, I don't even know what the correct number is. We're only
talking about for a roster?
For a roster.
Yeah, it's like 40, is it 45 now? Are they going to 46 or something?
And we're not talking about the coaches, the trainers, that's already itself a lot, and then when you hear these cases about people who are getting it now, these are young individuals who basically didn't wear a mask, was in a public setting with other people, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, so it's tough sledding, man. So basically, Wilson, you're telling me what we're saying the same thing that we've been saying for the last 5 months, that how difficult it will be and how challenging it will be to try to bring, us back to work, meaning critics back into theaters to watch movies again. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to take, but I guarantee you Warner Brothers is going to put a package together. Man, we'll get you there. You'll have your own private seat. We'll make sure you got your food there. You laughing, I'm telling you. They're going to come up with some kind of sweetheart package to try to entice you back to the theater.
Like, we'll send an Uber to pick you up.
Watch this. There's a company, and I'm not saying any names, they would send an Uber to pick you up, and they would give you a bunch of food. Wilson, am I right?
Hey, at the end of the day, it's all about marketing.
Talking about.
All about marketing.
Look.
It's like we're not being bought. It's like, hey,
Oh, it's not about being bought. I'm saying they're going to try to make it as enticing as possible to get.
Try to make it accessible for you to come out and see their product.
My God. We will send a car for you there and back. We will feed you. We will give you your own private seat with a shield.
All right, so now I'm going to play devil's advocate because there is a counterculture out there to what we're talking about. People who do not believe that there's a problem, that there's an issue.
Which again, stop right there. Which again is why I don't want to go to the movies, because I don't want to be in the same place with those people, because that's how you get sick.
There are a number of those people out there just on the news here in D.C. last week they showed a party with 300 people gathered who weren't social distancing. And there's a culture out there of people who really aren't sure or don't even care about a virus or whatever. And Hollywood may be banking on these people that want to get out of a house and go see a film. And
right.
something is going to be the test case as to whether this is actually a case or not.
All right, so I just want to just say before I answer your question, Wilson, if you need to read your phone, see what my phone is right here? Just put the phone right out of screenshot, man. See, Wilson's down here like this. Yeah, what's up?
Mine is right here.
Right. Use your phone up higher. I mean, you get used to this. This is pandemic behavior. But to answer Charles's question, I think Charles is actually right, because there is a certain segment of people, man, who don't care, and they want to be out there, and it's summertime, and they're tired of being around, and they want to watch movies. And if you put one in the theater, they're going to go and see it. But the problem, Charles, and I will say this for Wilson as well, I don't think there's enough of those people, because you're not going to be able to get any critic in a theater if they have to. You know how generally, and this is movie inside baseball movie terminology. We go to screenings, right? And sometimes they're critics only screenings, and then there's screenings these promo screenings that they mix in kind of like a regular average audience with critics in the building. I don't think we're gonna have a promo screening for a long while. I mean, you can they may have some critic only screenings at the beginning. There's not gonna be any promo, because I'm watch this on record. Tim Gordon not going to a promo screening. I don't know these people. Like, I know Charles, I know Wilson, so we can socially distance and sit there. But man, I don't know these people. Let you bring it to.
You're gonna be in a theater with air conditioning, and all it takes with a sniffle, with a cough. You're gonna start looking like Kristen. What's it called?
Contagion.
From Contagion. Nah. What's that movie with
Outbreak? Outbreak.
You know,
yeah, man.
Guys looking all peeking, looking all peaked on the face. Like, what's wrong? I don't know. What's wrong?
It is no joke, bro. It's no joke. Yeah. All right. So Wilson, we got about half an hour show left, man. We get ready to talk about stuff that's inside the Black film and TV wheelhouse. If you want to stay, you can, man, because it's going to be a good conversation about these 31 days.
Well, we had a record amount of Black nominees this year for the Emmys. You know, it's a good feeling for a lot of people. You
see my face?
But you don't care.
I mean, it's good news. It is good news that we had, but I mean, it's the quality. Really, is it really that?
Wilson, I mean,
think about how many people have been nominated in the past, and you didn't think that show was great, but yet their careers were boosted because they now have that moniker of Emmy-nominated actor or whatever. And I made a statement earlier this year with Insecure being nominated for Best Comedy, and it's only the 8th comedy show starring Black talent to be nominated in its 72-year history. You know, and there was at least a 20+ year gap where no show were nominated. And, and you look to see what Netflix just did recently, where they just picked up 7 Black comedy series that were, well-liked, like The Game and Girlfriends and Moesha, because according to their people who talked to them, there was a demand for that. And yet none of those shows ever received a nomination, not even Martin. Like, how many shows do we watch? Look at A Living Single. Any shows could have benefited, whether it's a supporting actor or whatever, and it could have bolstered their careers. It could have made the shows last longer. You look to see when EW or some other outlet makes like the top 50 comedy shows, and it's like out of the 50, there's only like maybe 2 Black shows up in there, and I'm just talking about comedy. We still only have Viola Davis as the only Black actress to win Best Actress in a drama, so so you may not think the quality is good, but the recognition goes a long way.
No. That's not where I'm at. Okay, I'll use an analogy because you'll understand this exactly. Stacey Spike started Urban World like 23, 24 years ago. Jeff Friday started ABFF like in 97, right? And you look at the film festival landscape, and of course, people talk about Sundance and Cannes and TIFF and festivals like that. these are festivals that are 20 plus year festivals that have carved out a niche, right? So they may not be Sundance, Sundance or TIFF or Cannes. ABFF is a festival a lot of people know about, right? A lot of Black people know about it. They launch a lot of Black talent. Jeff has launched it for 20 years. Stacey Spice, now Gabby Glore at Urban World has done the same thing, right? I say that to say, when you were talking about the Emmys, we started our own award 4 years ago. All the people that the Emmys nominated, we nominated them a month ago. So I wasn't surprised at all. I got a call as soon as they dropped the Emmys. It was like 33% of your stuff was in their stuff. And I was like, of course it is. So my point is that it's good, Wilson, and I acknowledge that, you know, if Insecure is only the 7th or 8th show in Emmy nomination history, but the fact of the matter is shows like the NAACP Image Awards, the Tree of Life, the Black Reel Awards, and other shows that have spotlighted African-American talent are going to be constants, and they're going to be there year in and year out.
You still need marketing.
Whether there's, no, I'm not saying that. I mean, the Image Awards have been marketed. The Tree of Life was marketed. Black Reel Awards does need marketing. But I'm saying that to say that it's cool that you finally come around to where people who are in the know, like Wilson is in the know, Charles is in the know, some of our colleagues are in the know. We know about these shows. I'm glad to see that mainstream America has caught on. And I always wonder when stuff is not in style, then it's back to us again, having to support us again. So that was my point, Wilson, not knocking the quality of a thing. I'm just saying that you've been in the trenches for 20 years doing what you do. I've been in the trenches for over 25 years doing what I do. So we're consistent in what we're doing. I'm glad you're picking up on what Black talent is out there. You and I have known Black talent at the beginning before mainstream America figured it out. And then once they cross us over, it's like, hey, man, remember us? Hey, Wilson. What? So I'm just saying, I'm frustrated.
They're just now picking up about what we always talked about. You know, like we know, you know, when there's certain performances and certain shows that should have been nominated, and granted, they'll get recognized by the NAACP and Black Reel Awards. You know,
Ajane Ellis.
There are probably other organizations as well. It all goes towards marketing and the trades, because at the end of the day, you know, it's not like they're promoting like, you know, Regina King, 8-time, you know, I'm just making it up. I don't know the number, the two numbers, 8-time Image Award winners. Like no one's putting it on value.
7-time Black Reel Award winner.
Or Victoria Rowell, who won a slew of NAACP award winners, and yet never got an Emmy nomination. You know?
But we also had a conversation about something similar to this last week about the Oscars, and that even when there is recognition, it doesn't serve the African American community the same way that it does the other
that particular actor the same way, right?
Right. So I mean, I'm happy that they've gotten these nominations, and I hope that they serve them well. And that, again, it goes to the marketing of that person as well, because a lot of times an award is a given and it means nothing in our community. So, you know, it's about that marketing.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I just, you know, again, man, this is personal preference, man, in my end, and I'm happy. I mean, you know, African Americans have loved, or people of color have loved Insecure since day one. I mean, Insecure had a great season. Has Atlanta ever been nominated for Best Comedy at the Emmys?
Yes.
Yeah, because Atlanta's a great show too. So I'm saying there's certain shows that I think are great, and then there's Greenleaf. But that's a joke for another time, because I just thought they had a horrible season. I watched Greenleaf now. I don't know what the hell's good. What happened to that show?
It jumped the shark 2 seasons ago.
It sure enough did, because I watched it the other night and went like, what is this? What are y'all doing? But I'm sorry. My apologies. But yes, Wilson. So the Emmy Awards nominations are, I think the Emmys are going to take place when? Early September? Late September?
Late September.
Late September. All
like
right.
the third week of September, I believe.
So, you know, you talked about the Emmy nominations, man. You know, I was looking for a lot of the folks that we nominated, which we were correct. Ajane Ellis was, like, to me, the one that was the most obvious, and it was tough for us
She was in a tough category.
She was in a real tough category. I mean, Reese Witherspoon didn't get nominated for Little Fires Everywhere, which I was
She
like,
didn't get nominated
wow.
for Little Fires Anywhere. She didn't get nominated for Big Little Lies. You know,
Wow.
Yeah.
She was fantastic in Little Fires Everywhere. Now, did Kerry Washington get nominated for
Yes.
Wow. Yes,
she did.
Yeah, I mean, but both of them, that reminded me a lot of Denzel Washington and Tom Hanks in Philadelphia. Both of those guys were equally good. Hanks got nominated, Washington did not. So I always have a problem. Or Sam Jackson and John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, where you got two people doing the same thing. One gets a nomination and the other one doesn't. I don't understand how you do that. Never. I've always had issues with that.
yeah. I'm still remembering when they didn't nominate Wesley Snipes for New Jack City. You know.
Well, I'm saying he deserved the nomination for New Jack City. He was great as Nino Brown. So
before we go too far away, I wanted to ask Wilson, are we to interpret anything about this fire sale that's going on? Because I was really looking forward to Michael Jordan's series. I thought that they could do a series out of the Tom Clancy books that he's been doing. Is that off the books? I mean, off the record now? I mean, what's the deal with that?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what Paramount's financial issue is. The fact that they're farming stuff off, they're going to keep their franchises that they know are bread and butter, like Transformers, Mission Impossible, A Quiet Place. Everything else, they don't know, and even though Tom Clancy's well-known name, it's still treated as brand new when you're bringing in Michael B. Jordan. You're going to have to see, can he bring in a certain amount of money? And as it is right now, because all the studios are hurt and have lost money because of it being out for some period of time, like I said, everybody has to find a way to recoup, and I'm sure everybody has reserve funds. They just got to know how to best use it.
Yeah,
I agree. All right, man. So you ready, Wilson? This is the one I really wanted to talk to you about. I started off at the top of the show talking about Turner Classic Movies, and every year, one of the most educational things that got me really as a film historian was their series, Some Under the Stars. It happens every August, and it's August the 1st to the 31st. They take one actor and they feature 24 hours of that actor's work. So it's normally 12 or 13 movies that they show. I think Barbara Stanwyck is who they're featuring today. The only African-American, and every year is usually one African-American, because if you're talking about Turner Classic and they're talking about the classic movie period, you usually either get Sidney Poitier. I know they've done, I think they tried to do, I want to say they tried to do Dorothy Dandridge one time. I don't know how, because that's tough. She didn't have 12 films. I don't know how you do Dorothy Dandridge or Lena Horne.
They did Lena Horne last year.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough, man, because what they'll do is if they don't have enough films, they can come up with some archival stuff, some documentary stuff. But I look for this Some Under the Stars series every year, and I had an idea earlier this week. I said I should come up with an alternate version of African-American stars. I did the math. If you do 12 movies a day, and it's 12 movies, an average of about an hour and a half to 2 hours a movie, which would fill 24 hours of content if you had to watch 12 movies a day. I did the math. It comes out to 372 movies. Now, I was telling Charles before you got on, Wilson, that one of the challenges in putting this list together is that you have certain actors that work with certain other actors, and we didn't want to duplicate films across the list. So for an example, a movie like Boys in the Hood, two of the folks that we're going to feature this month are Lawrence Fishburne and Angela Bassett. We couldn't give both of them Boys in the Hood. So we gave it to Lawrence Fishburne, and we'll find 12 other movies that include Angela Bassett in it. So the thing that I'm most excited about in doing this is that I always love to expose people to films that they may not be familiar with. And if there's over 370 movies, you're not going to be familiar with all these movies, because I haven't seen them all, and I've seen a lot of movies. So, so I'm very excited. We started with Denzel Washington today, and we will kind of leak the list a little later on, because Charles asked me, where can we watch these films? Because no, you're the third person. The first reaction is people go, that's on TCM right now? No, it's not. It should be.
Don't we wish?
And when TCM a year from now starts to feature some of the people we're featuring, I'm gonna write a post that says, "You're welcome, Turner Classic Movies. You're welcome." So Wilson, what do you got on this, man? 370 of these movies. I'd be anxious to find out as we go through this series how many of these movies you've actually seen, Wilson. Like these 12 Denzel Washington movies we featured today. I don't know if you've seen the list yet, Wilson, for Denzel.
I haven't seen the list yet.
All right, so today's 12 movies for Denzel Washington: Glory, Malcolm X, Crimson Tide, The Hurricane, Training Day, Courage Under Fire, Flight, The Equalizer, Man on Fire, A Soldier Story, Cry Freedom, and Remember the Titans.
Seen them all.
You've seen them all. See, what I should have done if I was really thinking to trip Wilson up is I should have put Power in there from 1986 with Denzel and Richard Gere. Saw that one?
Was that on VHS?
Got him. Got him. No, I'm telling you. See, I was trying to make it accessible to people. It's not like a test and trying to trip people up, but I did want to pick some films that I thought epitomized the range of a certain character. So Denzel, his list is not really that awesome. Lawrence Fishburne's list, wait till you see Fish, the 12 movies we picked for Fish. Well, you got everything from...
You say awesome, you mean like the range of
films? The range, man, from like an Othello over here to maybe, I don't know, Cornbread Earl and Me over here. So you really get a range of Fishburne's work because he's one of the few who started off as a child actor. Snipes is another one, Wesley Snipes, when we get to him. I tried to make sure we represented, a lot of women that are on the list. So look for people like Angela Bassett and Viola Davis, Taraji P. Henson, Halle Berry, of course. So yeah, we got a good list, man. And remember, I didn't call Wilson at all for this because I wanted to make sure that I wanted Wilson to be proud because Wilson will check it out, kind of inspect it, and I wanted him to go, yeah, that dude knows what he's talking about.
Or
see Wilson's face.
What is he thinking?
Right. Well, you can do that. I mean, my point is, and I was going to actually talk to you about some of these actors because there were some films that I wanted to kind of swap out. Like I was thinking about Halle Berry. I thought Baps was a crucial movie in Halle Berry's career. I mean, it may not be the best movie, but it's a film that shows Halle Berry's range, that she was able to play kind of like this, for lack of a better term, she wasn't ratchet, but she was kind of hood, her and her girlfriend. You remember Baps?
Oh, God.
I thought it was an important film. Strictly Business. Of course, Monsters Ball, Losing Isaiah. I was thinking, Wilson, if you have a list with Halle Berry, do you need Losing Isaiah and Monsters Ball, or can you just...
You probably throw a movie like Kidnap or The Call.
I didn't do Kidnap or The Call. I didn't use either of those. I thought about using John Wick 3 because that's another...
That shark movie she did.
We're talking about The Shark's Tale?
Nah, there was a movie that, I forgot. It was in her background that, she's done a couple of clunkers. There was that movie that she did. About the one that she did with Daniel Craig.
Kings.
Oh, Kings, yeah.
Yeah, so for an example, this actor, we have Bowfinger, Dr. Dolittle, Life, Dolomite Is My Name, Shrek, Daddy Daycare, The Nutty Professor, Boomerang, Coming to America, Beverly Hills Cop, Trading Places in 48 Hours. You notice I left out Pluto Nash. I left out 1,000 Words. I left out Mr. Church. I left out.
If you want to do a range, why did you put in Mr. Church?
But you see, there was a thing out earlier this week to say Denzel Washington, Will Smith, Martin Lawrence. Who was the fourth name? And it said, if you had to take out one,
Martin
who
Lawrence.
would it be?
Martin Lawrence.
All of their works.
Oh, if you had to take one piece of work out of all of them?
If you had to take out name, if you had to take out
the one person, you got to take out everything that they've done.
Everything that they've done.
So if you take out Martin Lawrence, and Bad Boys has got to go.
Oh, yeah, that's tough. That's tough. I mean, you can't take out Denzel Washington, and you couldn't take out Will Smith. I mean, so.
Like whose work would you keep?
Oh man.
Oh, you keep Denzel.
Oh yeah. Oh, and Eddie Murphy. That's what it was. Denzel, Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, Eddie Murphy.
You'd have to take out Martin Lawrence. I'm sorry. I mean, you lose a lot of films. Who you take out Eddie Murphy?
I take
out Denzel Washington. You can't take out Will Smith.
Why not?
But then think about it. If you take out Martin, you take out the Martin Lawrence show.
A lot of stuff that Eddie did too, because he's in the movies with Eddie. You got to take out everything that he did with Will.
That's a flawed question, man. See, what would be a harder question would be is if you took everybody's top 5 and said you had to get rid of one of them. That would be hard. Like Denzel Washington, if you gave him a top 5 and had to get rid of, like you would never get rid of Malcolm. Malcolm would always stay. Or a director. If you had 5 films and you had to take one of Spike's 5 best movies had to go. That would be a tougher question. That one you're talking about, Wilson, is almost impossible, man, because it crosses over with too many other people. So if you lose Martin Lawrence, you're losing Bad Boys, you're losing Life that Eddie Murphy was in. You lose a lot of stuff with that question. And there's no answer that's sufficient.
You lose Will Smith, you lose the Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
You can't lose Denzel Washington, one of the finest actors of his generation. I mean, come on, man. So that's tough. And Eddie Murphy.
You can't lose Eddie Murphy.
Can't lose Eddie Murphy either, man.
You lose Eddie Murphy, you lose SNL.
Right.
You lose Trading Places.
There wouldn't be SNL if we got rid of Eddie Murphy.
you know the Eddie Murphy thing, man. Wilson and I sat in a room was it December, Wilson, we sat in a room with Eddie Murphy last year when Ed got up to accept whatever made up award we gave him, because it was made up. I don't know what was it, the BFCA Lifetime Achievement or something like that. But Eddie in the room, Eddie is just magic, man. Eddie is so funny that people hung on to every word he said, and he was just talking offhand, and people were like,
for like 3 minutes.
Right. He started talking about his hair. People were like, Eddie is just magic, bro. I mean, some of these guys that we have been blessed to interview over time, man, they're some special actors. That's why they have gotten or achieved the level of celebrity they've achieved. Denzel Washington, I've been in a room with him one time. Well, actually, let me take that back. I was in the room with him one time, but he came to the Critics' Choice Awards the year that Fences was nominated. Wilson, did you take a picture of him? Because he had a look on his face the whole night, like, leave me alone.
I think I caught a picture of him with another actor.
Yeah.
You know?
Denzel was like, like, all right, D, you good. But yeah, I say all that to say, man, that as we talk about putting these lists together, and these lists are nice. I know Wilson has had, you've had the occasion, you and I have talked, that you kind of double checked and put out information, man. And it's important, man, that you go to sources that you respect and people that you respect that know this stuff. And at some point today, Wilson, I'm going to send you this whole list. And and if you have some films you want to swap out, because part of what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do range, but the films have got to be good, man. So you just can't pick a stinky movie and put it in there when there's obviously a better one, which is why Pluto Nash is never going to make any Eddie Murphy list unless it's a bad Eddie Murphy list. It's a bad movie.
So I'm going to do this to you like you do to everybody else. Where can we find your content, this list that you put together?
Well, right now it's on all my social media pages, but I'm going to write this stuff up and put it on the FilmGordon a little later on, a site that we pay a hosting fee for every month that I swear I don't use it, man, since we've gotten into the pandemic. I'm like, Wilson, are you still writing on Black Film and TV?
No. The man Sean Edwards is trying to call me. I'm saying, I'm doing
man, Sean, who we had on the show, who's a friend of all ours, man, you got to give that brother credit. He had your back. He wrote a post, and I was like, woo. He was like, why y'all putting this whack content up? Where's Wilson? Like, wow. Like, did you see that, Wilson?
I did see it.
Man. this is whack. What are y'all doing? Where's Wilson Morales?
There can only be one. There can only be one of us.
Hey man, hey bro, it's a crew that's real small, but it's respected, man. And you know, like I said, Sean is my dude. You know, Wilson is my dude. You know, there's a couple of other ones of us, man, that we see one another. You dap folks up, but people know who are in the game doing what they need to do, man. So that's what I said earlier, man. And, you know, much props to you, bro, on making that stuff happen. So yes, Wilson, we definitely will check with you a little later on this list because I think honestly we've got about 2 more days we need to fill with actors, and it's about trying to find the right mix and make sure that we got enough ladies that are out there because there's, you know, Queen Latifah, there's some folks out there that have done some work, and I would love to expose people to these films they've been in, even in some cases if they're films you don't feel that passionate about, but it's a body of work, you know. So there you go. So any questions on 31 days, our alternate 31 days, 31 stars?
I have no questions until I see the list.
Okay. Charles?
We'll talk about that next time.
I just want to see the list.
Man, I don't understand. Is there any level of doubt here, man? Like you think I'm gonna put something whack out into the ether, Wilson? Is something that you're gonna be ashamed of? That's why you got tagged on this, bruh.
Well, see, the thing is, there's so much out there, you can't really be wrong. I mean, there's always going to be a debate about what movie you should have included and what you should have left out. But I'm sure, being the filmographer that you are, that you can do a decent job of this.
Well, Denzel, and there's certain, no, I mean, seriously, there's certain people it's hard to mess up. You can't mess Denzel Washington up. He's got 40 movies. As long as you're not picking, and you see my fingers in the air, as long as you're not picking Ricochet, what was that horrible movie he did in the 90s with Russell Crowe? Virtuosity.
And John Q.
Damn, you didn't like John Q? John Q one. Wilson, you didn't like John Q?
Or Fallen.
Fallen,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, fallen, yeah, okay.
And I'm trying to think. What? Oh, Two Guns. I was not a big fan of that film.
Oh, wait now. Hold up now.
I was not a big fan of Two Guns. Come on, man. No, hear me out. Two Guns is a fine movie if you would have found any other young black actor that you could have put in Mark Wahlberg. Denzel Washington is wasted in a movie like Two Guns. You know, that's like bringing dynamite when you basically need a firecracker. You didn't need Denzel Washington for that. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? You could have found, I could name 10 people who could have played that role, and that movie would have made me feel exactly the same as if somebody else was in it. You didn't need Denzel for that.
I don't know.
Look at Wilson. Wilson backed off the screen on Two Guns.
Two Guns is like, nah, I'll watch Unstoppable and Safe House and all that.
And Safe House is another one. That one I should have swapped out something on the list. But Denzel has so many quality performances, man. He got Game, I could have gone with, but I gave that one to Rosario Dawson, who's going to also be on the list a little later on in the month. So it was also about strategically trying to make sure that you didn't overlap. Regina King was another one that was hard because she was in Boys in the Hood with Fishburne, with Angela Bassett, but everybody can't get Boys in the Hood. So you make a determination that one person gets it, and then you find other work for other people.
So you have a Tyrese Day?
Tyrese did not make the list this year. I know Wilson fought hard for Tyrese, but we didn't put Tyrese in there. Somebody told me, since we had a couple of open slots, that we should consider The Rock. What do you think about The Rock?
Does he have
12 movies?
I mean, I know he has 12 movies, but does he have 12 movies is what I'm asking.
Well, put it to you like this. I saw a text this morning that Swiss Beats and Timberland are always looking for people that they can put on verses, right? And the word at verses is that in order for you to be even considered for verses, you got to come to the table with at least 20 hits. If you don't have 20 singles, you can't be on verses because you're not going to last. So in this competition, you can't even be considered if you ain't got 12 movies. The Rock has way more than 12 movies. The issue is that we are looking at the diversity of a list, and The Rock is diverse. So, Wilson, you kind of still iffy on The Rock?
I'll take The Rock. I like The Rock films. You know, he's had a couple of them.
Because somebody brought up Kevin Hart, and I was like,
well, Kevin Hart's got a couple of films out there. You know, he's got films. It's like over time, you have to say some things build up.
He's got 12. He's got 12. But my point is that I thought Kevin Hart would be kind of trendy because, you know, I'm looking, he's a comedian. Eddie Murphy's a comedian. So I guess there's a place for a comedian. Chris Rock could have been considered, but I don't know if Chris has 12. I don't think Chris has 12.
CB4,
Pootie Tang. Yeah, see, he has Pootie Tang, so he can't be on the list of Pootie Tang.
No. You got Wesley in there. It's like
Wesley. So this is who we got so far, man.
Forrest Whitaker.
Who?
Forrest Whitaker.
Hold on a second. Denzel, Eddie, Sidney Poitier, Pam Grier, Ruby D. I wanted somebody that would throw people off. Samuel L., Angela Bassett, Halle Berry, Jamie Foxx, Sanaa Lathan, Wesley Snipes, Lawrence Fishburne.
No, Whoopi Goldberg.
Can I finish reading, please? Morgan Freeman, Regina King, Don Cheadle, Rosario Dawson, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Kerry Washington, Viola Davis, Neil Long, Will Smith, Richard Pryor.
Okay, I'm getting the idea what you were talking about, what you said. So you're saying if you had 31 days, so you're trying to name 31 actors who would have 12 films.
Right.
I'm sorry, my finger can. Yes, Wilson. So my point is that, now hold on a second. Will Smith, Richard Pryor, Idris Elba, Zoe Saldana, Taraji P. Henson, Forrest Whitaker, Whoopi Goldberg, Lakeith Stanfield, and Alfre Woodard. So we got 2 more days to plug folks in. And I was trying to go back through the history, but nobody early in the history had 12. Dorothy Dandridge didn't have 12. Lena Horne didn't have 12.
Oscar Michelle?
Well, he's a director. I wanted to go with actors. So, you know, I'm thinking through the 60s. Belafonte didn't have 12.
Mario Van Peebles.
I think you need to go back and look at Lena because TCM did her. So
TCM put a lot of short films on.
Mario Van Peebles.
So should I put Rappin' on the list?
That's a good one.
Rappin', Black Panther, New Jack City.
No, Panther. Don't say Black Panther. Panther, New Jack City. Trying to get that brother credit for Ryan Coogler.
Yeah.
Ryan Coogler, like, oh no, it was Panther.
Yeah.
Rapping is horrible. Have you ever seen that?
Yes.
Jaws 3.
Which is why Mario Van Peebles will not be making the inaugural list. Badass. That was a good one from him. But he doesn't have 12. I mean, unless we put Sweetback Badass song in there for Mario Van Peebles because he's in it.
What about Vivica Fox?
I mean,
what about
hold on a second. I can put that down.
Did you have Jamie Foxx in there?
Jamie Foxx, of course.
Yeah.
So you're saying Vivica A. Fox. We will investigate whether she has 12.
She's got a lot of those movies that called the wrong series.
Again, Wilson, remember that the idea is to expose people to these films. So you just don't want to throw. I mean, Two Can Play That Game actually is entertaining to watch. That's a good cable film. Damn, Wilson, you all right? Wilson's like, oh. You didn't like Two Can Play That Game? I'm just saying, you know, it ain't great. But she also has Kill Bill.
Independence Day.
Well, no, she doesn't because Will Smith has Independence Day. This is what I'm trying to tell you.
Set it off.
Set it off. Unless we don't have Queen Latifah on the list. If Queen is on the list, then she can't get Set It Off either. And I think we should put Queen Latifah on the list. Does Latifah have 12?
All right, so I'm gonna stop there and look at your criteria and stop saying
Latifah.
No, but Wilson, but remember the criteria is always you can't duplicate movies. So if you have 2 actors, that in the same movie, we can only give that one movie to that one person. So that way you never have any duplication, and you do have a total of 370 plus films by the time you're done.
So you could give Independence Day to Vivica Fox and give Will Smith something else.
Well, see, the problem with doing that is that Will Smith is so known for Independence Day. I had that was part of the problem I had. And it was another film that I had, like Wesley Snipes in New Jack City. If we had another actor that was in New Jack City, because isn't Latifah in New Jack City for a minute? Wilson?
No.
She's not?
No. Who?
Queen Latifah. She appear any point in New Jack City?
No, she don't.
Okay, I'm ready to say. So that's Wesley's movie. You know, Angela Bassett got Waiting to Exhale. Wesley Snipes was in Waiting in an uncredited role, but you can't give it to him. So there was a curation criteria on how we did this and how I thought it through, because you don't want to have, it's lazy to just have people duplicating movies over and over, because that's no fun. You know, oh yeah. So that's what we got.
All right, we want to see the list.
So I'll give you the list. I'll shoot that out. And of course, right now, if you're watching this show, you can always go on any of our social media platforms. Wilson Morales is tagged in this. So I'm not sure if that means, does that mean it pops up on your page if you're tagged?
I think so, yeah.
All right.
I did.
So you can either go to at the FilmGordon at Black Reel Awards, is at Lakefront Film Fest, is at the FilmGordon. It's all over the place, man, this list. And it's at Black Film and TV, blackfilmandtv.com. No, at blackfilmandtv.com. Not .com, because on social media it's not .com. That's why I said I got to keep saying it over and over, man, and it'll roll over. At Black Film and TV. How about that?
Okay.
And Charles, shall we tag you and it'll be on whatever mystery site you have? What's your mystery site?
DC Film Life. Come on, dude. Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that.
All right, fellas. So the only thing left I was going to talk about, Wilson, did you get a chance to see Black is King from Beyonce this weekend?
Yeah, I saw it. It's good visually, narrative-wise. It's like, okay,
Love you, Wilson.
I thought that and we're running out of time, so I can't really talk about it, but I liked it.
Saved by the Bell.
I just would love to have a separate show where we talk about how Beyonce has gone from this woman who's not the strongest actress, and I will say that. And if the Beehive wants to attack me, you can. She's not the strongest actress. But she has now transcended herself into like living art. And that's what I got out of Black is King, which is a reimagining of The Lion King. I thought it was really good. I thought it was very thought out, very well thought out. And I thought it was a cornucopia of images that I thought made it work. I happen to like it much more than Wilson did. Who was like,
it's like a painting. You have to watch it a couple of times and try to figure out where the dog is.
Having said that,
and much to her credit, she doesn't act in the movie. All she really does is dance.
Man, the hive is coming for all three of us, man, after this, man. I swear.
You need to stop right there.
As I tell you guys in closing every week, please see something good at the movies. Black is King is on Disney Plus. Check it out. And so next week, we are out on behalf of all three of our guests. Thank you guys, man, and we'll see you guys on the other side. You guys take care.
See you later. Bye.